All right, good afternoon. First off, just thoughts and prayers with everyone in Charlottesville. You know, unspeakable, um, and just everyone is grieving for them. Our hearts are grieving, and thoughts and prayers and any support that they should ever need from us, they got it. So, that being said, open to questions, please.
I'm thinking some of your players might have known Deshaun Kennedy and some of the other guys, or Deshaun, I mean. Even if they didn't, do you talk to the team about that kind of thing, and how do you handle this kind of situation as a coach?
Well, we haven't been able to meet as a team since learning all the facts, so this is, again, just as tragic as it gets, certainly unnecessary, and always do, always do, always do, always, always, you know. Can't stop teaching, can't stop learning. You can't ever do too much to do whatever you can to prevent tragedy. And rough. So.
And Mario, I was looking a few minutes ago, and it looks like a couple of guys were guys that you recruited at Oregon. What do you remember about them? What sticks out in your mind about them?
I think more importantly, just thoughts and prayers with the families, man. Good young people, good young men. Futures ahead of them, and everyone that knows their families or doesn't know their families but associated with the conference, with college football, sports, life in general, needs to do everything possible to support them, because what they're going through is like nothing we could ever imagine or ever hope for or wish for upon anybody. So we all got to really, really do everything we can to show support.
Looking at Clemson, just what have you seen from them on tape?
Well, obviously they've been an elite team for a long time. You've really set the standard in the conference for a good number of years now. Elite talent, big, explosive, fast, powerful guys, playmakers across the board. Really impressive up front on both sides of the ball. And they're complemented by just tremendous playmakers. You know, it's what you want your roster to look like, no doubt.
You also show up on tape. I mean, they've been good for a while now.
It has. I've seen them up close and personal during as an assistant coach at the University of Alabama, and you know, it's almost, you know, when those two teams played, it almost looked like mirror images, you know, of each other. But yeah, you know, culture certainly shows up in not only caliber of play and making plays, but the way you play the game, and they play the game the right way.
Into the decision of starting Ja'Carri Brown this past weekend, and how would you evaluate his performance?
Well, he's been practicing really well. You know, we have some injuries and some deficits personnel-wise, and bless you. And considering where we are in terms of, you know, those situations, being down 4 starting offensive linemen, having some receivers coming back, being down a tight end or 2. Felt it gave us the best chance. A combination of his ability to throw and run the ball gave us the best chance, and it proved to be a good thing for us.
When he arrived in the spring, he was pretty frank and said, I know I need to get better as a passer. Mm-hmm. So I'm curious, you know, since he arrived, have you seen growth, I guess, in that phase in his game?
Oh, he sure has. He sure has. And, you know, and quite frankly, you know, as he improves, it's also important to mention that we need the supporting cast to improve as well, right? And I think everybody, he brought great energy to the team. You know, when you're a true freshman and you get the nod like that, and the first drive is a successful drive, that brings some pretty good juice and energy. You know, it'd been a little bit since we were moving the ball successfully, so he provided a tremendous amount of juice right then and there, and confidence in the team, so it sparked us.
Getting the start, I mean, his snap counts have gone up, I think, pretty much every week since like week 2 or week 3. But obviously this was just another step for him. What is it that he again, it's been a progression, I'm sure, so it's not like one thing has finally clicked for him, but just like, what is the biggest area that you've maybe seen growth these last few weeks that gave you the confidence to kind of lean on him as the guy?
Been having that confidence, it just finally made the move. He's like an eraser, let's say a team blocks counter well and the ball's about to spit out there, boom, 2nd and 8. Because he can accelerate, he's a striker, he's got great hips, great balance and body control, as instinctive as it gets. I mean, he's, you want a team full of Wesleys, right? High-level football players that it means the world to. Like that guy hates losing. That guy refuses to give in. Mentality, obviously, playing at Miami Central and the great culture that they've had over there for a long time is something that's in his DNA, and he's bringing that over here as well. His teammates love him. He's a great compliment to them as well. He brings a lot to the table, and he's just a freshman. And his body's still growing. He's gained about 20-some-odd pounds since he's been here. So proud of him, and his best football is ahead of him. So, and the best part is his confidence to coming to the sideline now, where he comes over and, man, it's like make a correction and roll. Pretty impressive.
How much is guys like Jakari, Wesley, Nez, Jaleel Skinner making contributions, them getting early playing time, getting a chance to make key contributions in their first year, something you can talk to recruits about and say, hey, you can come in quickly and make a big impact?
Well, I mean, it's good, it's positive, right? Because we're playing a lot of freshmen. I think it's good to see some of the older guys playing really well also. And then when you say young guys, I think a guy like Cam Kitchens stands out too. I mean, he's a sophomore. James Williams, he's only a sophomore, And you've got some older guys playing well. I think it's always important, when you talk about young guys doing really well, it's also important to mention older guys that are doing well also, because if not, you start isolating guys. And that's not good for team dynamics, and that's not, what this thing is about. It's about guys, whether they're just got here or been here a while, that do it to a certain standard and are able to do it consistently at a certain standard. So, but Inez Cooper, we've talked about him a ton. Nigel Leak starts on certain packages for us as well. We mentioned Wesley, Jakari, gosh, who else? There's been a good chunk of guys that have been out there. Jaleel, got his touchdown or whatnot. Those two guys are roommates, so I'm sure, probably get a picture framed or something like that, But all in all, it's just it's good to see, and it shows the importance of just sticking with it and developing throughout the course of the year. Because at some point in time, if a guy's highly skilled enough and wants it enough and puts in the time, it's going to pop. And for those guys, it's popping.
Is that something that you've noticed that when you talk to recruits, that makes their ears perk up a little bit when they see things like that?
Well, it validates what you're saying, And but traditionally, look at the places that we've been at. We have a very strong track record for playing freshmen. At some points, top 2 or 3 in the country most every single year. And at every position, from the left tackle position to quarterback to wide receiver to tight end. So it's something that we believe in. The best players have to play, and they're going to get a chance to prove it all the time.
This morning that Cam Kitchen's film sessions are legendary. Can you expand on that, just what that means?
Well, I mean, you like seeing that, I like to think I have the building to myself late at night. So when I see someone in there, it's, I get a little uneasy, I feel like someone's trying to outwork me. It makes me upset. So, but he's that guy. He's always trying to find an edge. You know how it is in ball. If you could find an extra step, if you could find a tip that's going to get you a better angle, that's going to allow you to anticipate and buy you a step or two, it's going to allow you to make plays, because if you're behind, it's going to allow you to be the victim of a play. He understands that. He understands that it's being a student of the game can result in just some unbelievable improvements, in all phases of your game. And not to mention the impact that has on other guys when they see a guy like that do well, like, whoa, is he all of a sudden running faster? He's going to run faster every year. Is he getting bigger and stronger? Yeah, he's going to do that every year. But he's putting in time. And that time has accumulated where he's playing on a really, really high level.
Just yet? Are other guys joining him yet, or is
so.
that kind of the goal?
I think so. It has to completely permeate a locker room, right? That's always been the best teams that we've been able to coach on and play on. The ones that understand that, the ones that aren't in a hurry when practice is over, like the old Flintstones, right? The thing goes off and Fred's in that car and he's hauling Bud. He wants to go home and eat, right? That's what you don't want. You know, you really want the guys when it's over, well, let's get on the jugs machine, right? Let's go and watch some more film because everyone has the same 20 hours. What are the guys doing with the other hours? And we have a good group of guys, a good core of guys that are doing that, and that's going to keep spreading out more and more and more. To play here successfully, it's going to have to be that. So.
You guys like Kid and Wesley, the local kids, is that a big deal to have them playing in terms of recruiting, and especially like to have those examples of those local kids who come in and have success here?
They're the right kind of kids, you know. They happen to be the right kind of local kids. They happen to be local, but they're the right kind of kids, the right kind of young men. I like to refer to them. I don't think I've used the word kids, since I can remember. But it's, you know, it's the right kind of guys. Like this football thing, whether people want to admit it or not, it's a way of life. You know, yeah, of course you want it to be fun, but it's a way of life. It's fun when you're winning. It's fun when you're kicking butt. Well, to kick butt, you have to put in time. You have to be willing to put in time that other people aren't willing to put in. So, so it's awesome that they're local because that's a great example, and it's a big reason why a lot of us are here. You know, we believe in Florida and particularly South Florida football. Different level players and mentality. Well, you want the right ones. Not just any, you want the right ones here, the ones that understand that and are willing to put in the time to do so. I'm not going to shy away from that. We want the hardworking, tough, resilient, high-achieving mentality guys that want to go in there and do something about that, you know, and make it real. So.
Your team has been doing particularly well on the road, which is always tougher. What makes them so good on the road?
We've been talking about that to see if there's something process-wise. Not sure, you know. It's hard to put a finger on. I know that we have started faster on the road, you know. And you always look into that, like when you, it's kind of funny when you go on the road, what have they told you since you've been like knee high? Hey, when we go on the road, it's a business trip. We're taking what we do at home and we're making it as much as we can, make it almost identical on the road as when we do it at home. Well, you know, we've had success on the road, particularly in conference, and we've been working our processes. It's been nothing magical or nothing whatnot. You know, we'd like to have that kind of success at home, obviously.
Clemson, right? You've been to Memorial Stadium, I think, or whatever. It's tough. Like, what is that atmosphere like when you were there? And you know,
it's off the charts. You know, it is a great college environment. You know, can't really hear yourself think. So you got to be well prepared. You got to practice for it. They use it to their advantage. The crowd certainly plays a factor, and you've got to prepare for it. You know, and on the road, I think our guys have done a good job handling that, and going to have to prepare. You know, to handle it again. You know, against a great football team that's very well coached.
Coach, what can you tell us as far as injuries? Do you expect any guys back, specifically Jalen Rivers or Henry Parrish or Leonard Taylor?
I don't know. I don't know. I'll know a little bit more later today. I feel good about Henry Parrish. I feel good about Leonard Taylor. I feel that Jalen has a chance, you know, sooner than later. Who else did you have on there?
And like as well.
He's doing really well also, you know. So I think all these guys, they're right at the cusp, you know. I think Leonard and Henry are ahead of the other two, but the other two are right there where we feel that they got a great shot to play Saturday.
And on the same note about Jared Harrison Hunt, Elijah Roberts, Jake Lichtenstein, I think that's it. Great.
I feel good about Elijah. Jake, I think it's going to take a little bit longer. Harrison Hunt, I would put him in the same category as TVD and as Jalen Rivers.
For Cheney, I know you said maybe this would maybe the week or next. Is there a...
He's practicing full speed. So we'll see what this thing looks like throughout the course of the week, you know.
Obviously, it's, you know, for years now, it's been hard for him to stay on the field. Just how important do you think it would be for him to get some live action here these last 2 weeks?
How important do you think is this? No, you think? Without a doubt. You know, especially the teams that we're playing against. These guys, these are hard-hitting football teams that play really, really fast. So it's really important. You know, our return to play specialist, Joe Girardi, does a really good job getting these guys in condition and making sure that they are like this, tied at the hip with the medical staff to make sure that they are capable of playing. And then once they are, like right now we feel Don Chaney is good to go. Now we have to practice, and he has to experience some physicality in practice, right? To make sure that not only is he physically ready, but he's also mentally capable of handling what comes with, you know, being away for, 10, 12 weeks, and then all of a sudden, you know, going right back at it. So there'll be an acclimation process throughout the week, and hopefully we'll be in a good place on Friday, and we could have some good news for you and for him.
Showing you before the injury, because he was still coming back from something too.
He was still coming back, you know. He was still coming back, but you saw the flashes, you know, big guy, could get downhill in a hurry. The talent of those big guys is making people miss subtly, you know. Really good backs can avoid those collisions, those car crash type collisions where they can make a guy miss, maintain their balance and body control, and make that thing go another 5, 10, 50 yards. And he showed that ability. Really good hands out of the backfield. He's got a lot of, for big guys, got a lot of wiggle, particularly in the passing game. And he's got really, really good vision. Really good vision, like understands how to set up his blocks, understands where leverage is, understands, probably the most important thing for a back, understand the intent of the play. You know, the play intends to go here, but due to the structure and the blocking schemes and the double teams, it's probably going to roll here or spit there. And I think he understands that really well. Also knows protections really well. So.
Just physically with him, since we last saw him in August, weight change, anything, he looks different now?
He does. I don't have his weight on me. I think I remember seeing yesterday, I think it was at 212, something of that nature. So he's a good sized back. He's a big guy that can run, get downhill. And that's about his playing weight, you know. So.
Higher before?
Was he higher before? He was. He got up there a little bit, you know. He got up there.
How crucial was it to get younger guys like Marquise Williams, Cyrus Moss involved in the end of last game?
Well, I think anytime you could get guys on the field, it's awesome, man, right? You know, you work hard. You may not have earned, starter type reps, but being on the field and getting those first reps, it's invaluable. It really is, because now you got to do it live. It's going to be viewed by all your peers, right? You've got to get the call from the sideline. You got to make the adjustment on the field, and then there's no do-over. There's no whistle. Hey, let's reload this play, run it again. No, now it's real. So those guys got some really valuable reps. Cyrus almost had a sack. Mark Keith did well. Jaden had did some really good things as well. We threw an Alan Hay in there, Ahmad Moten. Who else? We're a good chunk of guys. Good chunk of guys. So, okay. Thank you, guys. Have a good day.
First off, I'd like to say send my condolences to UVA and the community, the football team, Coach Elliott, during this hard, tragic time. Obviously exchanged messages with Coach Elliott this morning, and obviously he's a strong man of faith, but tremendous tragic loss that they've experienced right now, and just send my hearts and thoughts and prayers to the team and the university there.
Can you talk a little bit about, as an offensive coordinator, having to morph your game plan like you did this past weekend, and put a full game plan together for a true freshman quarterback, and have to understand what makes sense for him at this stage of development and not, and just try to get through the game with a victory?
Yes, I think when you're going through challenges that we've been through, obviously new starters, injuries, you have to kind of morph that game plan each and every week. And it really comes in three different areas, not just for the quarterback, but also the new pieces up front, offensive line-wise, obviously different skill players, and just trying to create an identity for what it's going to take to win that game, depending upon that game plan. And, I thought Jakari did a great job last week of executing the game plan and really showing poise. To be a freshman starter on the road back in your home state, you can imagine the anxiety that he probably had leading up to the game. But he's a poised player, and that really showed throughout the game, and he brought energy and excitement to the sideline, and ultimately that led in belief in our players to believe in him and believe in us.
He didn't show any nerves early on, right? You guys scored right away pretty much. How did he handle that? Did you see any nervousness from him once you guys were kind of out on the field, or was it pretty confident for him?
No, he's always been a confident young man all throughout the year at every opportunity that he's been given. He's very, very mature for who he is. He's a very smart player, obviously. He's brought a lot of energy to our team throughout the year, in critical moments, whether it's been third down, any type of situation that he's been in the game. Our players are excited to see him play. And when you have a young player like that people get excited about, obviously, like I said, it instills confidence in your sideline. And the thing that he did was he went out and managed the game the way he needed to. He was great in his decision-making. He didn't make any critical mistakes, and I think that's important too, because you look at that team that we played, and that team was a very talented team. They are number 2 in the country in turnover margin at the time that we played them, and so he knew going into the game, protecting the football at all costs was going to be critical to our success, and that's a credit to him and the other players.
How has he, progressed in, when it comes to learning the playbook? He started out the year basically running, not a ton of plays, running similar packages, that kind of thing. Now he's had to run the whole offense. How is he? Did he already have that down coming into the season because he's been here since January, or did he have to kind of get up to speed the last couple of weeks?
Well, I think recently you've kind of seen the playbook morph kind of as the first initial question, right? Trying to build it off the skill set of the players that we have left, and I think that's been a challenge, but also it's been something that they've embraced. Is how can we get as creative as we can to allow our players to be in the best position that they can be in successfully, and kind of building off each and every one of their strengths. And I think that as I went back and talked about, it's not just him just as a quarterback, but what can the offensive line handle with all the new different pieces, new pieces at running back, what can they do and what do they do best. And so just trying to be as creative as we can as down this stretch to benefit our players the best way possible.
Have you guys changed how you want to utilize Rashard Smith? Last weekend, a lot of screen passes to him. You wanted him in the backfield a little bit. How have you, adjusted how you want to use him? I guess.
Well, we've obviously experienced a little bit of injuries there at the running back position, and so it's just as we're getting a little bit more depth and being more healthier at the wide receiver position, it's just finding creative ways that we can utilize all of our personnel. Obviously, Rashard is a really good player that we feel strong about. And we don't want to see him spend as much time on the sideline. We want to try to find creative ways that he can be out on the field, impacting the game. And he has such a unique skill set that kind of falls in a lot of different roles. And so he's a very versatile player. He's a player that we feel needs to get the ball in his hand as many ways possible. And we got to continue to find ways to do that for him.
When we spoke to Jakari back in the spring, he was pretty clear about, I need to improve as a passer. In what ways have you seen him take strides in that phase of his game, and in general, is that something you feel like quarterbacks can improve a lot on at the college level during their years here?
Well, I think it does take time. It takes time and concentrated effort, right? And he's done a really good job in practice of obviously trying to continue to improve his fundamentals. It was something that was obviously coming out of high school. He was more known as a runner, a dynamic threat in what they did offensively, even in high school, and always coming up. And so that's a key piece to his game that he wants to continue to improve. And he's focusing on those steps. He's taking those steps. Obviously, as any freshman player, it's always going to take time to fully develop. You can't speed up that process in there. But, first and foremost, I think for any quarterbacks, you got to start in your decision-making first. And that's an area that he's really excelled in making smart decisions, not putting the ball at risk. And then he's going to continue to develop and improve in all the other areas.
You say fundamentals with him, is that more like footwork, mechanical stuff that he's really worked on, or you mentioned decision-making, are there certain things he really kind of focused on?
I think as a quarterback, you're always focusing on everything, right? Footwork, arm fundamentals as far as your motion, delivery accuracy. He's obviously he's such a powerful kid. Sometimes even one of his challenges is take a little bit off. Don't be as powerful, because he does have a very strong and talented arm that he's also learned how to be able to have touch. Being able to place the ball where needed, not just on deep the balls, but intermediate and short throws. And so, I think altogether, Coach Ponce has done a great job working with him and continue to develop him. And, we're excited about his future.
Mario's praised Jalen Knight and the way he's worked. He had the issue coming earlier in the year and really praised him for how he did on Saturday, running hard and everything. What did you see from him? How have you seen him work and focus the last few weeks?
Yeah, Jalen's a guy that deserves tremendous amount of credit, and really proud of him. Just, we talked about resiliency, right, and being able to bounce back from adversity. And here's a young man that went through probably about a 3 or 4 game stretch in there where, he was in a little bit of a slump. And it eventually led to losing some playing time. But he didn't get down on himself. We kept telling him we believe in him and continue to work. He showed up each and every day of practice, working really hard. And to see him go out and have success, I think that was very important to him, is important to us. We believe in Jalen, and we got to just get him back and having that confidence, being able to run the way he ran on Saturday. And when he's able to do that, he provides our offense and our team a huge spark.
What did you like about the way he ran in the game?
I thought he ran very physical, broke through a number of arm tackles, obviously created some explosive plays out on the perimeter. But for him, it was also about ball security. That was a team that went to the game. They were pulling the ball, yanking the ball all over the place, and he did a great job. Not once did the ball ever come loose or even look as if it was loose, and did a great job with his ball security. And then also he did a great job in blitz pickup. A couple times in there they brought some key blitzes where they were blitzing the back, and him being able to step up in there and stop the blitzers. And that's an area where he has improved throughout the year. I thought he did a really, really good job. And so really proud of him, really proud of the way that he's responded, and looking forward to continue to push him to the next level as he gains that confidence back and becomes the player that he is.
What can you say about Clemson's defense and the challenge they pose?
They're a fast and athletic defense. Obviously, they've been known for their defense over the last few years, and obviously recruited really well on that side of the ball. And they've got some high-profile, high star players. But for us, it's about focusing on us. Obviously, we know the challenges of obviously going on the road. I think that's something now that we embrace. Our team has showed up prepared on the road, and they've done a good job handling adversity and hostile crowds. But we've got to focus on playing the cleanest football that we can. We've got to continue to improve in a lot of different areas, but we've got to carry over confidence as well as we improve. We've got to carry over confidence in winning a tough game on the road last week, and be able to carry that over into this game. It's going to be a tremendous challenge for us, and we look forward to it.
Lawrence Seymour done well. He's made a couple starts for you guys now.
Yeah, Seymour's jumped in. You're talking about a guy that probably at the beginning of the year probably never saw his opportunity coming. At one point, battling for a 2 position, if not a 3, and now all of a sudden now he's a starter. And so being able to jump into that role and continue to prepare, I think is a credit to Lawrence. He's a kid that also could have went in the tank earlier when he wasn't playing or when he didn't probably see his opportunity to play, but he just kept working. And one thing after another, whether it's injuries or opportunities, led to his opportunity, and he's capitalized on it, and he's continuing to work. And that's the thing that I'm really proud of our guys, that the way they have responded to adversity. They continue to believe in each other, continue to trust in each other, and ultimately that leads to success when you can get all 11 men on the field to believe in each other.
Probably technically a little undersized, but so what does he do well to kind of make up for some of the physical tools that he might?
Well, I think Lawrence. I think one of his greatest strengths is obviously his ability to move. I think he has really good lateral movement and ability, and I think he's a fighter. Our kids fought on Saturday, and when you watch that game, I think that was the key thing that stood out, is how hard we played. We didn't always play right. Our technique wasn't always right. Plays weren't always right, but we played hard, and that's something that you can't coach. Something you can't correct. And for Lawrence, that's a great strength for him. He plays tremendously hard. He's going to fight until the whistle and play hard till the whistle. And when you got that type of effort out of your players, they can accomplish a lot on the field. And that's all we ask for them right now is to play as hard as you can for as long as you can, and we can fix the rest.
Anything else for Coach Gattis? Jakari's obviously a dual threat quarterback. Now
Well, I think it puts challenges on opposing teams' defenses first, right? From a defensive standpoint, it's how do you defend a dual threat quarterback? There's certain things that you won't see when you have a dual threat quarterback that you would see if you had an in pocket passer. But also, obviously, there's new challenges that we will see continue as we move forward, right? With different forms of coverages. You know, you're starting to see people load the box when you have a dual threat quarterback. Because of the threat of the run. And so I think, you know, for us, it's making sure that we can take advantage of all things, you know, take advantage of being able to use the quarterback in the run game, but also being able to use our quarterback in our pass game. And I think, you know, how we use them, I think it's very important. I think, obviously, our skilled players around them, being able to step up and make critical plays and moments in games are going to be very important to the supporting cast of Jakari as well, because you're talking about a freshman quarterback. So we don't always want to put it all on his shoulders, but we want to make sure that the supporting cast is playing up to a level that we can kind of relieve him of any stress that allow him to go out and play as clean as possible for us.
How much do you think, you guys have played in pretty some tough road environments, I mean, obviously 107,000 people at A&M, both House at Virginia Tech. Clemson's obviously got an atmosphere, it's right up there with them. How do you think the offense has learned to handle those environments, and how are you guys going to teach Jakari, because he didn't start those games to play in that kind of environment if he does play this weekend?
Yeah, we've really kind of just embraced playing on the road, you know, just our process, focusing on our away game process of what we do and how we prepare. Obviously, a new challenge being on the road in a different type environment. I think the experience that we experienced early in the year at Texas A&M should be able to carry over a little bit of confidence of playing in front of such a large crowd that you know we'll experience on Saturday. But any road game is any road game. You know, we've got to focus first on us. Focus on the things that we must do to win this game. And ultimately, we got to execute at a very high level, especially when you're going against a talented team. You can't afford to give them anything. You've got to be able to maximize on all the opportunities that you have and capitalize on them ultimately with effort, execution, and fundamentals.
Got time for one more for Coach Gattis, if anyone has one?
Yeah, I'll ask about Restrepo, just kind of getting him back, maybe, I know that just getting him back, I know early on he was certainly really good, but what are you seeing when he's out there?
You know, you're seeing great leadership from him. You know, obviously he's a kid that early in the year was obviously voted as a captain for us, and you see his type leadership. And, you know, I think the challenge for us is now getting all the different pieces and all the parts on the field, you know. In the absence of Xavier, obviously you saw the emergence of Brashard. And so I think, you know, as you look at how we try to utilize those two guys is find as many ways that we can get them on the field together because they both are important pieces of what we do offensively, and we believe in both of them from their skill set. And so, you know, when you got two guys that are playing the same position, obviously there's a little bit of challenges there. But you know, we've got to be as creative as we can to find ways to get those guys the ball and be an important piece of our offense.
On the field very much last game?
They were. Mm-hmm. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Coach.
Before we get started, obviously, you know, I know Coach and Josh mentioned it. You know, our thoughts and prayers are with the University of Virginia football program. You know, Tony is a friend of mine. I coach with Tony, and you know, I can't imagine. So, unbelievable. Well, go ahead.
Have you ever experienced anything like that as a coach, where you know something happened with a player like that on your team?
Yes, multiple times. But it was just one isolated incident. Not that I mean, that's one family that's heartbroken, one football family that's heartbroken, but not three. You know, it's unimaginable.
Players at all about that kind of thing, just life lessons, or
Sure,
just if
absolutely.
they're worried, or
Yeah, I mean, we're teachers, and we're teachers of life first. That's the beauty of the game of football, is that, yes, it's a game, and we've really made it very complicated and complex, and it's got its own challenges, but there's a lot of life lessons in it. You know, we're parents in terms of to the players, surrogate parents, if you will. We're teachers.
You got to be on them about homework and going to class and those kind of things, and then all the things that happen, not just, just like 9/11 happened one day, and we're in the middle of football season. We got a game that week. Yeah, you got to address those things, and you just don't walk in and throw football on. If you say you care, you got to show them you care.
You ever had coached a game with a performance like Cam's 3 interceptions?
I tried to think of that. I've been around a lot of turnovers in a game where we got a lot of turnovers. I can't remember if it was one guy. That one I can't remember. I don't think so. 3 picks in one game is pretty. It's really good football, and we kidded him. He actually dropped another one, so could have had 4. But that's a coach. We're always trying to find a way to get better. And then on top of that, 3 picks and one of them be a 99-yard return. He was just trying to, make it as big as he could make it. There wasn't but 1 yard left.
You coached at Clemson for a couple of years. What's that environment like? What's it like as a coach on the home side, and as a visitor, what do you tell them that?
Well, but then both went back, coached there. Then before that had gone there before that had gone there with Florida State. So I'd been there with Florida State, then coached there. Then went back in, I think, 16 and 17 with Auburn. We went back one of those years they came to us. So I think it was 17 we went back up there. I've been there many times, and it's a special place. The fans football is very, very, very important to them, and they show that on Saturdays.
Coach, what do you think about, or how do you think Wesley Bissainthe played in his first start?
Well, he's played very well this season, and as we told you very early, the migration to the point we're at, we saw that coming very early, that it was going to get there. We were a little concerned about throwing him in the fire too early and him losing confidence until we saw that confidence grow, and then it was time. So it was not a surprise at all. He's played well in the games he didn't start, and we push all the time. You need, a bunch of starters, 18, 19, 20 starters, because you've heard us say that, and that's a fact. But for a freshman to start a game in college, I get it. It's a big deal. It's just the first play, so he may have played 50 plays a game before, and there wasn't but 64, but to play that first one means something to him. And he was pretty excited with it. He handled it like a pro, played very well, but not shocking.
I guess, where has he grown the most over the course of the season to earn that starting spot?
Just understanding the defense and the concepts, being comfortable with it, and not having to rely so much on others to tell him, you got this, you got that, bump here, slide here, push to 2, those kind of things. I mean, the older guys were helping him some early on, and now he's out there telling them what to do. Confidence is an amazing thing, and he's got a lot of confidence right now. On top of that, he has a lot of ability.
Coach Cristobal mentioned that Wesley is the starter. Can you talk a little bit about the conversation with him, kind of letting him know that he's going to be the starter, and his reaction to that?
It wasn't. We just told him last week, and we communicate all the time. Those guys are pretty conditioned. It's been rotated in there some. He just wasn't one of the guys that had. There's been multiple different starting groups in different positions too. Because we make such an effort to get them to understand. Again, I understand externally I understand that's news, but to us it's really not news. Playing the first play, I've been around guys that played the first play, and you look at the end of the game, they played 13 plays, and the guy that played the 7th play played 50 plays. So which one you want? You want to play the first play and play 13 plays, or you want to wait 6 plays and play 50 plays? So we've kind of conditioned them to that. We don't make a big deal about it, so that change is not a big deal. That happened on Monday. No reaction.
Mario mentioned that, joking that, sometimes he'll be in the building late at night, and the only person besides him still there is Cam. Is that kind of film study, that work ethic, and that's clicked this year, or has it been there like since you guys got here?
Well, since we've got here, it's been there. You know, Cam's a very smart person, very mature person. He's very steady. He's not up and down emotionally. Very mature, and so he has the ability to compartmentalize his academics and do it like a full-time student, and then be a pro football-wise and do it like a full-time football player, and that's a gift sometimes, and sometimes it's learned. I think in his case, it's a gift.
Coach, what kind of challenges does Will Shipley present?
Well, speed, hard to tackle, really good vision, one of the premier running backs in the country. He's going to get the ball. There's no doubt. You've heard that old, I think there was a show or a book that said, "Where's Waldo?" You better know where to try to find him. You better know where Waldo is. You better know where Shipley is, because he's going to get the ball.
Especially with you're speaking on, but to catch the ball too, you got to pay attention to that. Your guys, that'll be a focal point as well.
In terms of what now?
That he can catch the ball, that he has.
Well, they get it to him, like I said. I mean, the ball's going to him. It's not just handing it to him. They throw it to him too. So a lot of their offense is designed to get him the football.
Anything else for Coach Steele?
Defensive line, was kind of beat up this past week, a lot of injuries, and LT comes out in the middle of the game. I mean, how did you see the guys who were playing, how they kind of reacted to having to play with less depth?
Well, that's the thing about last week. The first thing you need to know before I get to the frustrating part was that was the most complete game on video we've played. Conceptually, the concepts in which we were on top of. There were very, very few errors, very few violations, very few loss of gap. It was very good execution. It was by far and away the most complete game conceptually, applying execution with it that we've had. And there was no question of that. I mean, it's very clear. It was fun to watch. Now, there was some frustration there because we started substitute late in the game. I think they had 261 total yards, and then with some of our young guys, we had the opportunity to put them in the fire, not practice field, and they moved the ball a little bit, and of course that was frustrating, but it was a blessing too, because they now know, hey, this happens a lot faster than it happens on the practice field, and you got to be on top of this thing like you're a starter every week. They felt it now. They don't have to just hear us. You got to prepare like you're a starter. You may be out there. Well, after 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks and you hadn't been out there, do you really prepare like a starter? Well, that's the growth process. Well, now you touch the stove, it's hot. You need to go prepare like a starter. So that was good in a lot of ways, because we spent as much time on the last 20 plays of the tape as we did on the rest of it. The rest of it was very good. But teaching those young guys, because we're going to need them. There are a lot of young guys out there. To answer your question about, again, we go back and we try to keep a large group of those D linemen prepared. And I know sometimes people, well, why isn't he out there? Why didn't he, why is this? Why is that? Well, now you know why. You don't want the first play in a crucial situation of a guy to be out there playing that hadn't played all year long because he's standing watching somebody else play, when you're trying to keep them fresh and have other people prepared. Because when you play the position where you got 300 pounds lined up on this ear and 300 pounds lined up on this ear, that's a hard job. And the wear and tear of a season puts you in a situation where you have to have multiple people. And those other guys went in there, they really, really did a good job. I mean, better than a good job. They did their job to the fullest, and it was good to see.
Cyrus Moss almost got himself a sack on Saturday. I'm just curious, what have you seen from him development-wise over the course of this year?
Almost? Where's your standard there? No, I'm just kidding you. You hit on a little deal. There was 3 sacks we left on the field in that last drive, so that's why you kind of hit a little nerve. I mean, 3 clean sacks, real clean sacks, game-over sacks. And so, Cyrus is a long guy that is trying to develop his body. You know, he's a long, linear basketball build guy that the weight room is helping him. He had a good spring, but then there were some other guys that came in that are, you know, more physically ready to play. He's very close to that, very, very close. He's really, really a sharp. It's important to him, you know, and he's got a skill set. He's got a skill set to rush the passer. We need to get that sack, though.
Receiving tackle for loss. Was that designed that way, or was that something that he saw?
No, that was a corner cat. It was a corner call cat. Now, what threw people off, and really, we talked about this, sometimes they may have thought the motion triggered it. It didn't. It was called. That may have been why we didn't get any more motion that way, but that was not. It was a call. It was a call. It was just, you know, sometimes they go real fast, sometimes they don't, and on that, they were in pistol, and you saw the back go line up there and still had time, so that one was kind of easy.
Last question.
What is it that Cam Kitchens does well in between the lines? We know he studies, right? But he seems to always be.
Eyes. People don't understand. You do not have any idea. Eyes are as important to a football player as they are a NASCAR driver with, you know, 50 cars around them going 200 miles an hour. You better have your eyes on what you're supposed to have it on, and he has phenomenal eyes.
Awesome. Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.